Bell rolls is the reporter thrown into the secretive world of the Forex Super Model, where nothing is as it seems. Beware the techno monk, and steer clear of Professor Code and his two assistants. Give the senior trader a wide berth, and don't expect any sense from the risk manager.
Morning, I'm Professor Code. This is the Forex Super Model daily briefing for Friday the 20th of the 8th, 2021. Time is just coming up to 0440 GMT, 20 to 5 in the morning. Asian session coming to a close, European session firing up, our lunchtime, North American session. Right, yesterday, Thursday the 19th, then we had a negative opposed driver in the pound at minus 300. Front and back door flows mainly going into the yen at plus 180, into the dollar at plus 153. And the euro was the negative rock at minus 30, activity plus or minus 333. Intra-week then, this is the most relevant because it's from Monday the 16th open to about 15 minutes ago. We've got a negative opposed driver in the pound at minus 550. Front and back door flows mainly going into the yen at plus 375, into the dollar at plus 360, and the euro was a negative rock at minus 185. Excuse me. Activity plus or minus 735. So yesterday then, despite the general belief that it was all about dollar strength, it was actually about pound weakness, and over the week it's been the pound weakness driving the market. Intraday then, this is the Asian session to about 15 minutes ago, we got an unopposed negative driver in the pound, minus 58, so this is the more extreme. It's fifth gear in reverse, if you like. And no backdoor flows, the opposing positive flows mainly going into the dollar, plus 25, into the euro at plus 19, and the yen was the positive rock at plus 14, activity plus or minus 58. What's going to knock it about? Or has knocked it about, we've had the China rates decision, which was pretty much a non-event. Today we've got tier 2 GBP retail sales, and we've got CAD retail sales. And looking into next week, we've got German and Euro PMIs for the manufacturing and service industries, New Zealand retail sales on Monday as well. Obviously that's very late, and going forward, next week is really about US tier 1 data, which will be durable goods and GDP for the US. Right, we're going to start it there and write up the flows to save a little bit of time, so don't go away. Right, welcome back. We've written up the flows, which are for the Asian session. So we've got the euro is strong except against the Swiss. The yen is strong except against the euro and the Swiss. The pound is weak except against the CAD and the AUD. The Swiss is strong across the board, the CAD is weak across the board, the AUD is weak except against the CAD and the NZD, and the NZD is weak except against the pound and the CAD, and the dollar is strong except against the yen, the Swiss and the euro. So what have we got then to summarise that really? We've got Swiss strength across the board, CAD weakness, and take your pick in the middle. Right, so that's where we are. That's the Asian session flows and relative strengths. Now we're going to have a look at the asset classes. Right, hello again. We've written up the asset classes then. So US dollar index, it's had this big pump up. It has a sort of double top area and it's broken now, and it's 15% above the break in model terms, 0.15 from above the high. Gold then, in theory, shouldn't like a strong dollar, and it doesn't to a certain extent. It's below half marks. It's 0.42 from the floor. And oil's come off quite a bit. It's 0.18 from the floor, so oil's really got pasted off. Wall Street had this double pump up. It broke a couple of resistances. It's now back to 0.33 from the high. It's a third off from the peak. S&P is basically similar, but it's a quarter, or 0.25 from the high, and the tech is more resilient. It's 0.14 from the high. Right, so US 10-year, this is the price of the bonds. So the price of the bonds in the US 10-year has basically been pumping higher. Then it had this big drop off, which means the yields came back up a bit. And now the price is tempting to come back up. It's 0.29 from the high. Likewise with the bund, although the bund is stronger in price, so weaker in yield, and 0.125 from the high. So 12.5%, sorry, an eighth. yeah, an eighth from the high roughly. Copper, big chop, big bounce, and then a big fall off, and it's 0.22 from the floor. Really very volatile trading in copper, not liking equity sell-off at all. US steel, infrastructure boost, bang, broke long-term resistance, and it's now below that low. It's come off 0.33 from the high, about a third. Right, so let's get rid of this and then do the analysis on the flows and what have you, try and tie it all together. We did a bit of sort of intraday trading yesterday. We were having a go at the dollar CAD, and then we decided to about turn on the dollar, and we sold the dollar throughout the afternoon, and with varying degrees of difficulty, and ultimately then the dollar did collapse a little bit towards the end, about our time, 4 o'clock onwards, and then we basically made a small profit on that. So that's where we are. So let's have a look at the flows. Remember, so all right, where are we? Yesterday then we had the pound negatively driving, -300, although it seemed like the dollar was driving in a positive sense, but the dollar was the positive mover. So the pound was very weak, and the yen was strong, and so was the dollar. Over the week then we've got a similar situation. We've got weakness in the pound, -550, as the opposed negative driver, driving flows into the yen and into the dollar. So the pound, and then the Asian session, as I say, we've got this fifth gear. We've got this. The pound is now operating at the unopposed negative driver, which usually means one of two things. It's either the start of a further ramp up or a slowdown and a reversal. So it's likely to be a slowdown and reversal in the pound. And last week, just to remind you, what were the flows? The pound was the negative secondary driver, so the pound had elbow room to drop off, and it certainly has. Right, so if you're looking at the majors, then the dollar, the euro, the yen, and the pound. The pound has been sort of driving negatively. It's reached fifth gear in terms of modelling terms, negative fifth gear. So we're looking for this sort of thing, but obviously the turnaround here, it looks like the pound could go a little bit further, but the brakes are going on selling the pound now, so that's something to be aware of. And so if flows are going into the pound at a later stage, they're likely you've had weakness in the euro and the pound, and they're like to be reversed, and you're likely to get neutral to positive strength in the euro, and you're likely to get a fall in the dollar, and depending on the equities are going to be a driver to a certain extent for the yen. It's quite likely if you get a bounce in the pound, eventually you're going to get a fall off in the yen, but the yen is likely to carry on and do this sort of arrangement. So it's the reverse of the pound, if you like. So early on, I would imagine we believe that the pound is going to stay weak for a while. Eventually, it's going to start thinking about turning round, because the Asian flows are suggesting that we've hit fifth gear. It's the negative unopposed driver, which can go on a little bit longer, and that's why you've got this situation here. So look for the pound to be weak, probably up to about lunchtime, and then maybe in the American session, if we start to get an improvement in equities and risk on start to come back, then the pound is going to be really rocking on the up. So I hope that was useful to you. We've started this video to save a little bit of time. Thank you for watching. See you again over the weekend for the data review, the flow review, and if not, see you Monday. Thank you.